Happy Easter to everyone. Today we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Seems like humanity has always been longing for something like this. When we go back and examine the remains of the oldest of humans, right, the oldest remains that we can find, there seems to be some kind of belief supernaturally in a life after death. If you look at the way that our ancient ancestors were buried, it seems as though they were buried in such a way that it indicates that something was going to happen afterwards, right? From the position of their bodies to the fact that they were buried with jewelry and with prized possessions. That indicates that there's more to it, that we at least believe that there is more to it. Most of these things that we believe in that don't seem to fit into some kind of like scientifically rational, testable thing, most of these things wind up being the most important things in life. Science loves to take the physical world and break our knowledge of it down into the smallest little parts and then think that we've learned more about it, right? We've broken down things into the subatomic particles, and now we know everything there is to know about a thing. And yet the most important things in life are things like love, which is not open to scientific testing, right? Or truth. You know, the more you try to like logically break down truth, you wind up with a logical problem of using logic to explain why truth and why logic, and that's in fact a fallacy, a logical fallacy, right? We do the same thing with justice. Our hearts long for justice, but you cannot study justice under a microscope. Beauty, we all know it when we see it, but we cannot explain, not to any real great effect, we cannot scientifically explain beauty. It's true, too, about being, about our beings, about ourselves, that we expect to go on and on and on. Even atheists believe in this, right? They did a study. His name was Jesse Baring. He was a psychologist, and he told a story to a large group of subjects that he was testing, and he would say there was this teacher who had a fight with his wife, got into his car, was driving down the road, ran into a telephone pole, flew through the windshield, and died. And then he would ask him a question, pretty simple. He would say, do you think he wishes he had told his wife he loved her before he died? And overwhelmingly, people would answer yes. Even atheists who did not believe in the afterlife, or they would profess not to believe in the afterlife, reflexively sort of said, well, yeah, of course, I'm sure he does wish he had told his wife that he loved her before he died. But they don't believe in any life after death, right? So there's something inside of our hearts that just naturally assumes, no matter how hard we try to convince ourselves it's not true, naturally assumes that there is this life after death. I believe in all the historical facts about this, right? I believe that the testimony of people who saw Jesus die and then saw him alive again, I believe in that testimony. I believe in that testimony that it changed their lives, that they were able to see that, and then they themselves no longer seem to fear death, no longer seem to believe that this world could answer all of the problems that they had. And I think that's a natural fit. It's a very natural fit that once you hear the gospel, once you recognize what's going on, it changes your life. It's not just informative, but it's performative, right? It becomes a way that you live that's differently. It's like walking through a long, dark tunnel. And when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you're not at the light yet, but the light, its presence already makes your life in that tunnel different now that you see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is what it is to have had Christ enter our world, live in it, die in it, and then resurrect in it. Everything Jesus touches, he makes holy. Everything he touches, he makes holy. And so he makes his hard labor, he makes his friendships, he makes the family that he was part of, he makes all of those things possible to make us holy by us living out those things, including and even death itself. And then he leads the way with his resurrection in a way that answers that problem that we all face, that we want to live forever, but we know that this world can't offer it. We know that if someone were to say, I can make you live forever as a cyborg, we wouldn't want that, right? We don't want the scientific fix for everything. We might want it in the immediate moment. You know, if you've got good medicine for me, if you've got a quick fix for some problem that I have, I'll take it. But we don't want to live forever. I mean, not eternally here on this earth artificially. That doesn't seem to work. And we can't even imagine at the same time, we can't even imagine perfect annihilation, right? We want to believe, we can't help but believe that the man who died in the car accident wishes he had told his wife that he loved her, you know? So only God can solve this problem. Only God can make all this somehow work, and he does. And so he's left us a universe where now everything we experience becomes a potential to helping us see that the gospel is true. All of the suffering, and especially suffering that we do on behalf of others, especially when we carry a burden for other people, all of that begins to point to God and point to happiness with him in a kind of a way that even makes that burden that we're carrying a little bit lighter, even makes that suffering that we might still have in our lives just a little bit more easy to bear. That's why we celebrate the resurrection. It's not just a historical event that people attested to in the Gospels and attested to. It's not just that. It's also this fix for this brokenness inside of us that needs, that wants truth and love and beauty and justice. All of those things all come together in our desire to live forever with the source of all of those things, God himself. And he offers us that by going there first. And we want it for ourselves, and we expect it for ourselves. So this is indeed a great day to celebrate. Happy Easter to everybody, and God bless you.